Hey everyone, this is Paris. Back. I want to talk more Division 2. There's no script, there's no plan here other than this is just kind of my thoughts of the Division 2, my final quote unquote preview thoughts of the Division 2. The game launches next week. We just had their final state of the game. Massive had their final state of the game here earlier today. And I figured, I got a chance to play the open beta, probably some 20 odd hours over this weekend between Xbox and PC. So I figured, you know what? Now I've seen everything there is. I've heard everything I can possibly hear about the Division 2 before it's in its final state, before it goes out to launch to the world and we can actually start judging this game for what it is. So these are just my thoughts, just my journey with the game. I've been so lucky and so fortunate, being a part of Gamertag Radio and just over the years being in the gaming industry to get these kind of opportunities that back in June of 2018, thank you to Ubisoft for helping us with this. But getting a chance to talk to Julian Garrity, the creative director over at Massive for the Division 2, and being able to hear his vision for what he wanted this game to be. The first words out of his mouth were in game. And for me personally, as a gamer, as a fan of these open world, lack of a better term, looter shooter games, the end game is just so vitally important to the longevity of these type of game, live service game, looter shooter, whatever you want to call it. But the fact of the matter is, these games have a shelf life if there's nothing to do once you reach the end of the story. What am I going to do? What am I chasing? What is there for me? What in-game activities and challenges will you have for me? And that was the focus for the Division 2 back at E3 that they were talking about. They mentioned in-game was the focus of them creating this sequel, and it was going to have a raid, and it's going to have multiple raids, and we got excited about it. And I've talked about this stuff a million times, so I'm not going to bore you. So we did the E3 thing. We then went to Red Storm. We got to see the Dark Zone. We got to see PvP. Then we went to a preview event when we got our first taste of the private beta. Got a chance to go into the open world. The actual private beta came out, played it more at home, and then we just had this open beta here over the weekend, which again, I dived into and tried to experience every aspect that was available there because I wanted to understand how is the living open world going to be? Is it dynamic? How is my interactions going to be with the various factions? We got to see the hyenas. We got to see the true sons. Once you get to the end game, you're going to experience the Black Tusk. Going into the Dark Zone, how is the rogue system going to work? Manhunt, getting loot, extractions. Obviously doing the different, doing skirmish and domination in PvP. How did the various weapons feel? What was recalibration going to look like? What was crafting going to look like in the game? I wanted to understand all of that because for me, and I've said this a million times, so I'm not going to repeat it either. Wasn't a fan of the game at first, the original Division. I'm a relative newcomer to this franchise for all intents and purposes, and I just feel like I'm taking a Division 2 as a clean slate for me. And yes, I've been very excited about this game because I feel like it's hitting so many of the check marks that I look for in these type of games in this genre. There is a fully fleshed out end game coming. There is a well thought out open world and initial campaign that we're going to be able to experience. The way they're handling matchmaking is what I'm looking for. The fact that we're going to have these different varieties of weapons and just the different perks, the skills, just everything that's coming in this package of the Division 2 excites me greatly. It really does. I mean, so much so I had someone on Twitter today ask me, are you excited about this game or are they paying you? And I laughed because no, of course they're not paying me. I'm just genuinely excited about it. I can't wait to just deep dive into this game for hundreds of hours and just experience this world and see what it has to offer. We went to that state of the game today and they talked more about how the world tiers are going to work, how the strongholds play into that. And then the one thing that came out of that, which just threw me for a loop, is they're going to introduce what they call the deck of 52. Once we hit, I believe it's once you hit World Tier 1, but once we hit that, there are going to be 52 named bosses that dynamically roam the open world that you can encounter at any time. And they all have like a signature. It's like a deck of cards. They're going to have a signature card with them that you can collect, or have specific loot that you can get from them. Accommodation, the whole shebang bang. This came out of nowhere, and this is from an NPC character you're going to encounter in the world called the Snitch, who will then also introduce you to another NPC character called the Gunrunner, who is going to be a randomly spawning vendor in the world, kind of similar to Xur, from the Destiny universe. It's like, I had no idea this was even coming. They talked a little bit more about the strongholds. And I said this in previous videos, but it really sounds like the strongholds, which will be tied into unlocking some of the world tiers, the first 3 anyways, but they're going to be more like a dungeon type activity. They're not going to just be, a simple mission. They're going to be hard activities to complete in the end game. Then, to unlock World Tier 5, you have to take on Tidal Basin, which is the Black Tusk stronghold. And once you unlock World Tier 5, that's when you're going to be able to go tackle this raid and just things like that. So, yeah, I'm excited. I'm really excited for this. As just my 100% genuine, honest opinion about this. I can't help it. I cannot wait to play this game because, like I said before, I just see so many activities and so many things to do once I complete what they're estimating to be the 40-hour main campaign. I don't think it's going to be 40 hours, to be perfectly honest with you. I think most people probably blow through this in about 15 or 20, and then we'll get to the end game. But, it just goes to show that they're creating a game that, if you're the casual person that just likes to do the story, you'll get your beginning, end, roll the credits, that whole thing. You can be done, walk away, and go play something else. But then for the more hardcore, dedicated players that really want to deep dive into the intricate details of this game and the weapon customizations, the brand sets, the gear sets, all this stuff that you're going to be able to collect and chase in this world. Like I said, I love how they're even doing the recalibration now, where every weapon drop you get, every gear drop that you get matters, because there might be a skill set on there that you can transfer from that to a weapon or a piece of gear that actually matters to you, and it makes it even better to help you, set up your builds as you're creating your agents and going through this world. But well, back to my original point, yeah, it excites me that there is truly an end game. There's truly something here for the hardcore and the dedicated player. Not to mention that there's something there for the casual player as well. The balancing of that is so hard to do. And look, we don't have the final game yet. We've only experienced early stuff in the beta. So we don't know if Massive is actually going to be able to pull this off, but at least they're trying. They're trying to do this. And I think what excites me more than anything is, people that know the history of the First Division and know the struggles it had its first few years. Massive and Ubisoft never gave up on the game. They continued to listen to the community. They brought community people into the studio, got that feedback, fixed the first game to make it an enjoyable experience, and they've taken those lessons learned into the second game. And look, game's not gonna be perfect. We know that. There's probably I had audio glitches and everything while I was playing the beta. The PC version was crashing on me all the time. Look, knock on wood, hopefully that stuff gets resolved at launch, or it's going to make the game unplayable, and that will be an issue. But the point I'm bringing is they are listening. They are aware of these issues, and they're going to. Let's get the technical stuff out of the way. But even once the technical glitches do get patched and resolved, if there's other issues with the actual gameplay loop itself, they're listening to us. Can they fix it all in one day? Probably not. But as long as that communication channel is open between community and developer, I'm confident, because we now have seen their track record. They will fix it. They absolutely will, or they're at least going to try it. Hell, I even saw on social media today, I guess Massive is reaching out to select players around the globe, and this is going to be a compensated thing, where they want them to basically play the game and provide feedback over an extended period of time. I forget exactly what it was, but just that alone is telling me they want genuine, real, I'm at home playing the game every day type of feedback, so that if there are issues, they have the data, they have the information, they have a way to actually in real time see what's going on with the game and get these things resolved. And I'm focusing on that right now because that is a big issue. It is. There are other games out that are right now, you can fill in the blanks, that is having a ton of issues right now that I really wish they would have taken that approach. So I'm very happy to see that Massive and Ubisoft is, because the game will have problems. It 100% will have problems at launch. There is no way to avoid that. It is just way too ambitious of a product to not have some type of bug or issue or gameplay loop that just slipped through the cracks of QA that us, the community, need to hop on Reddit, hop on social media, go on the Ubisoft forums and let them know about. So, I don't want to ramble about this. And yeah, I'm probably not hitting every intricate detail of the things that they talked about in the state of the game or things that I saw in the beta or just over this entire journey since June of last year. But at the end of the day, I'm a gamer. I like to play fun games, and for me, for Paris, this hits all those check boxes for me. This is the type of experience, this tactical military cover-based shooter with the loot that you can chase. As a matter of fact, that's another thing. Even the exotics, they're even setting up the exotics so that, I'm sure there will be some that'll drop via RNG, but there's going to be specific quests in the game to acquire specific exotic weapons as well. I love this mechanic. I love knowing that if I go into the end game, that there's going to be daily bounties, weekly. There's so many things I'm not hitting on, and I do apologize for that. But like I said, I just wanted to jump in here and just have a real conversation about the game, not just I'm a robot reading from a script thing. I wanted to just talk about why I'm excited about the Division 2 and just some of the things that I'm looking forward to in the game. So, there's going to be something here for everyone. I feel like if you're a hardcore dedicated player, there's just going to just your builds alone, trying to tinker with your weapons and your brand sets and your gear sets. Like what is that one True Patriot gear set they I think GameSpot debuted last week is just, again, something I'm going to want to chase and put together. So I'm excited. I think to wrap this up before I just ramble too much, I'm just genuinely excited to play the Division 2. Early access will be on March 12th, and then the game proper will come out on March 15th. I'm planning to main it on PC via Uplay. Vicious696 is my tag everywhere. So if you want to hit me up, absolutely. I'm more than happy to squad up and play some Division 2 with you guys. I'm also going to play on Xbox as well. Vicious696 there too. So I don't want to keep rambling. Like I said, again, I'm excited about Division 2. I think what they're doing with the end game actually is setting the bar very high moving forward for the Destiny 3s, the Anthem 2s, and anything else that wants to come along that's going to potentially challenge this game, in this whole looter shooter space, because what they're doing with this end game content is special. There's just so many activities and things to do day one at launch. We're not waiting for things to unlock, not to mention they also gave us their year one roadmap. So we know things are coming down the road for the rest of the year as well. So I'm very excited. I will be on day one, playing it on the 12th, and my plan is to give this a good 2 weeks of playtime so I can really deep dive into it and really get a feel for the final game and just the progression experience and getting to end game and doing world tiers and things of that nature. And I'll have an actual video review up here on the channel, and we'll talk about the Division 2. So until then, I'm going to stop rambling. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. I really appreciate it. I still don't know what the hell I'm doing on YouTube, but I'm having fun being able to create content, put it up here, and get your feedback, which all the feedback you guys have been leaving so far has been fantastic. I really appreciate it. So if you like what I'm doing, definitely give the video a like, sub to the channel, tell all your friends about it. I really appreciate it. So until the next time, this is Paris. My final thoughts on the preview period of the Division 2, and I will see you guys soon.